the surface properties control how the surface is displayed. For example, whether the triangles are displayed in plan view or in 3D view, whether it's shaded, what the shading is either by elevation. And simply the way to modify these properties is to select the surface and go to your properties dialog box. So you can pick that right up here next to the next to the layer manager. There's the properties, or you can enter and press the F11 key. But basically you can see here the color of the surface. So that would be, down here, if I was saying in plan view to show the shading by surface color, you'll see that it shows as green. I can say I want to see it in elevation. So again, this is what's shown in plan view. I can say no. If I don't want to see the wireframe in plan view, I can turn that off. I can also turn off the vertices so they don't display, and any of the break lines, so you're not seeing those. Any drape lines or slope arrows, so if I want to see the slope arrows, I can see the flat areas as well as the direction of the slope of the triangulation, and whether or not to show the shadows. Now up in here, also under the top of this, the kind of the main pieces here, there's adjust flat triangles. So if I set that to yes, then what it does is, you can see anywhere that there's flat triangulation, it tries to change the sampling a little bit so they're not it kind of removes that flat sampling. So in some cases you'll want to do that, in other cases it may not be advantageous to do that. There's some tolerance settings, whether to display the flags or not, and whether or not to auto rebuild. So you can either rebuild by user or have it auto rebuild. Every time you add and remove members, it will rebuild the surface. Also control the transparency. So as you can see, the transparency in the 3D view, I can see through the surface. So you can see here, I can see the utility lines through that surface. So if I was to come in and change this to 75, it actually makes it more transparent. And if I send it down to like 10, it makes it less transparent. So you have the ability to change the transparency of that surface. And then down a little bit further, you have some other options to how the information is shown in 3D view. So if you don't want to see again the break lines, we can turn those off, and you'll see that I don't see the red the break lines. I can turn the triangulation off, leave the surfaces on, or the shading on, same as I can do in a 2D view. This down here, the densification, that applies on an alignment based surface. We'll talk about that in another video. Look for alignment based surface densification. That makes a corridor surface or an alignment based surface more densified. And then down here you can see the summary. I can see my min and max, my number of triangles, number of vertices, and number of materials, or number of independent objects. So a lot of different vertices there. So a lot of different settings you can do just by selecting and going to the properties of a surface.